Greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is MiAh the King, and today we're taking a look at a game that came out on Steam earlier today called The Unexpected Quest, developed by MiAh and published by P-Cube Limited. Sorry, I read that wrong. Also, if you hear any noise in the background, I apologize. The house is full with pets and people during these Thanksgiving times, so I'm sorry about that. But before we get into the actual video of the game, I'd like to apologize for not putting out any videos in so long. The first problem was that nothing was really coming out that I was that interested in playing, or that there were games that I thought no one really cared about, or I just didn't feel like they were worth the money and time because they didn't really offer enough. But besides that, there was also Thanksgiving coming up, and I had to prepare and spend time with the family and yada yada yada. Not making excuses, just explaining my situation. Plus, I recently ran out of money, so I have to make these purchases a lot more carefully. But anyway, enough of that and on to my video. Now, this is a first impressions review. I feel I need to explain what that is because people still don't seem to get what these videos are. In my personal opinion, a first impressions is just that, a first impressions, meaning you play the game from 15 to 30 minutes and then just, tell what you experienced. And a review cannot be accurate or complete without completing the game. However, neither myself nor you lovely viewers out there have time for all that. I combine the two in what I call a first impressions review. I only play the game around 2 hours, which is longer than a first impressions, so that if the game is absolute garbage or uninteresting in those first 2 hours, I can get my money back. And it's also obviously not the same length as a review. I basically do the work for you, so that way you guys don't have to worry about playing for 2 hours, finding out it sucks, and getting a refund yourself. Instead, you can just watch my video and then make the decision, which would, of course, save you a lot of time. Why do I do this? Well, to help you guys out there, and also to help me save a bit of money, because like a lot of you out there, I don't have a whole lot, especially with this whole COVID crap. Oh, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I think I forgot to mention that earlier. But, okay, enough of the build-up and the stalling, and onto the game. So, this game is described by Steam as such. An adventure game with strategy and management elements in a medieval fantasy setting, drawing inspiration from classics such as Warcraft 3 and The Settlers. Embark on quests, hunt down treasures, and manage your resources as you build, battle, cast magic, and brew potions to bring order to the world. Now, I'm going to tell you how much of that is true and how much of that is false based on my time of play. Is it an adventure game? Yes. Is it strategy with management elements? Kinda. It's more strategy, less management. Medieval fantasy setting? Yes. Inspiration from Warcraft 3? Not even close. Inspiration from The Settlers? I don't really know because I never played that. Embarking on quests? Yes. Hunting down treasures? Yes. Managing your resources as you do stuff? Also yes. Brewing potions and casting magic? Also yes. My dog just sneezed. Sorry about that. So technically what it says is mostly true. But let's get into this. I don't know much about the game's plot or story or characters. I mean, I do know them, but there's not a lot of detail. I'll just tell you what I do know. You play as a race of people, I think. I can't tell if they're human or dwarves or mixed. And your crew is run aground off their ship. From there, they are trying to get home, and you have challenges to get through as you go through each level one at a time, slowly trying to return home, only to then find out that some kind of necromancer is attacking your homeland, and you need to stop him somehow. That's about it for the plot. But let me see. It's kind of hard for me to explain the game, so I'm just going to go through the good and the bad to help me kind of consolidate my thoughts, followed by my overall thoughts at the end. All right. Also, for those of you still watching, I really appreciate you sticking with me through all that bull crap I just spouted at the beginning. I felt I needed to say it, needed to explain some things. But if you find this video informative or entertaining, I would greatly appreciate any support you can give me or my channel. Whether it's subscribing, hitting the like button, or leaving me a comment, they're all each equally greatly appreciated. So first off, we're going to go on to the positives. The first positive is that the game has a very pleasant art style. It's not anything grand or super duper special, but the graphics are very pleasing to the eyes and everything blends well together and just feels kinda nice. Number 2, the stability of the game is pretty great. It never froze or crashed or stuttered on me. The whole time I played the game it was smooth and stable, which is just always a nice plus to have on a game. Number 3, technically, the game doesn't have a tutorial, but the reason why this is in the positives is because it spends the first 3 levels or so of the game basically teaching you how to play while you're playing the main storyline. So in a way, it kind of does have a tutorial without it looking or feeling like a tutorial, and it was a seamless transition into the actual in-depth gameplay. Number 4, the game is strangely fun and addictive. At first I was playing thinking it as boring and lame, but as I played it longer I found myself strangely attracted to its overall aspects and gameplay. It was just fun and endearing enough for me to want to keep playing. And you see, this is why I do these first impression reviews rather than just first impressions, because if I had made a first impressions just based on the first 30 minutes, I would have thought this game was super boring and lame. But because I went longer in my own style of looking at video games, I actually found out that it's not too bad. Number 5 is the price. I mean, the game is only $10 right now, so it's definitely affordable even for a poor schmuck like me. I mean, it's only $10 right now with a discount, $12 without it. Number 6, and last but not least, is the originality here. I mean, the plot is kind of overused, but the idea of the game itself isn't that bad. I suppose it did take inspiration from those other games, but then turned it into something else, and I've honestly never really played a game like this. At first, it felt like one of those free-to-play tower defense games, but as I progressed, I learned it was much more than that, and it was actually kind of nice. Basically, the game is original and unique, even if it is a little cheap overall. So now we'll go on to the negatives that I found in the game, and this is my own personal preferences here. Number 1 for the negatives are the sound effects. While they are present and passable, they were very lackluster compared to the rest of what the game was giving me. This isn't a very big negative, as the sound effects pretty much matched the graphics, but even so, the sound effects were just overall very bland and undesirable, while the graphics were pleasing to the eyes. So, one's in the positives, one's in the negatives. Number 2, the length of the game. After playing for almost 2 hours, I'm about 75% done with the game, meaning at most this game is 4 hours long. Now, normally that would be a really big negative for me, except for the fact that this game is only $10. In my opinion, for every $5 I have to spend on a game, I should get at least 1 hour of storyline gameplay. So for $10, this game should just give me about 2 hours, but it is giving me a little bit more, so that's kind of nice. And for reference, a game charging me $60 should have at least 12 hours or more of a main storyline content. And that's obviously open to interpretation and change depending on the game itself, but I'm just giving you a general idea of what I'm basing this on. But I have to call this a negative because for such a simple game with so much cheap stuff within, I expected it'd be a bit longer or maybe offer me just a little bit more in a different way since, you know, the sound and graphics and gameplay are all basically cheap. I was expecting at least a lot of time. I mean, look at Mountain Blade. Mountain Blade's graphics are crap, its gameplay is average, but it's a massively long game, and it charges you an appropriate amount of money for how much time you'll end up wasting in that game. You see what I mean? Number 3. The gameplay is way too simple. It's way too easy. I saw this review on Steam where it's like baby's first RTS, and I completely agree. I mean, it does have rare moments that can be a little bit challenging under certain circumstances, but for the most part, the game was just way too easy, way too simple. There was no way to make it harder, and it was just like, maybe it's a game I'll one day let my kid play when he's like 10, because he'd be able to handle it. Maybe it's what I'd use to introduce people into RTS, but in terms of like challenging or legit RTS with real strategy, it's barely there, and that's a big problem for me. Number 4 is the lack of replayability. In a lot of games, either the storyline is great enough or the gameplay diverse and fun enough to encourage you to play it again, over and over, somewhere down the road. This game, however, doesn't offer you any replayability, the same short story with the same gameplay levels. Once you beat it, you'll probably never return to this game again, and that's a pretty big negative for me since I'm investing money into it. And that was the last negative that I could think of at the time of writing this script. Yeah, that's right, I read from a script, but as I've said in the past, my script is more like Cliff Notes than an actual thing that I read from, though that is most of it. Okay, so now on to what I overall think about the game. So, honestly guys, I think it's a very fun, simple, easy game that's cheap in quality but also cheap in price. I mean, if you've got a few hours to kill and you want a cheap little game to keep you interested, then this is a pretty good bet. I wasn't impressed within the first hour, but the game quickly picks up after that, and even after 2 hours, I'm still not done yet, and probably have a couple of hours left before I beat it. I think my biggest complaint is that there isn't more to play, and that it isn't really all that challenging, or even all that much of an RTS. I want more levels, I want more difficulties, I want more of this game in general, and I want all the stuff in this game, each individual aspect of it, to be a little bit better. Graphics a little better, sound a little better, gameplay a little better, length a little better. So, you know, I mean, I want all those things of this game. It's quirky, it's cheap, and it's really simple, but it's kind of fun and a little addictive. As I said earlier, I really just found myself wanting to play more and more for longer and longer. I mean, I'm going to keep this game to add to my library and to support the developers, but honestly, the choice is really up to you guys. I think if you're willing to give it a shot, then it's probably worth your time and your money, but, I mean, if you saw this video and you still don't think it's for you, then it probably isn't. I mean, what you see is what you get. I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't want to repeat myself, but I just want to make a few things abundantly clear. So, basically, the game is just, it's really simple, and it's very cheap in a lot of different ways, and it's just, I don't know, it's way too simple and easy. It just, you can tell by playing it that it's just like that. So if that's a problem for you, you're probably gonna turn away from this. But if you're thinking, hey, it could be a fun way to kill a few hours, then, you know, that works too, because that's basically what I'm using it for. So that's pretty much all I got for this, everybody. If you have any questions or concerns, then please let me know in the comments below, as I always try to respond to everybody. Thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.